Well, the AI summit has been a grand success here in New Delhi's Bharat Mandapam. From the European Union to the United States, the Pax Silica, and of course, the global south in focus. The safety and regulation is one thing, but India taking it a step further. Equality and parity of AI for all. That's the message for unity of AI from New Delhi. And joining us to discuss this and more is Henna Virkkunen, who is the EU Executive Vice President for Tech Sovereignty, Security and Democracy. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us here on NDTV. Let me begin by asking you your first impressions from the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. You attended the leaders' summit. We had the French President Macron, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and of course the Indian Prime Minister. How important and significant is this for India-EU ties, but also for the larger world?
I think it's very important that now first time really the AI summit, and in this time AI Impact Summit is taking a place in Global South, and India hosting this because India is a very strong player globally when it comes to technologies and digitalization. And I think the strong message also from Prime Minister of India side that we have to make sure that everybody is really having access to these technologies and it's really benefiting the citizens. I think it's a very important message.
You know, one of the concerns for a very long time since the AI took the center stage has been the regulations, has been the safety, and it's been a big debate in the European Union as well. How concerned are you? Because there are separate states in EU and otherwise outside who say we will not regulate. But then there is the French president who of course came in and said social media needs to be banned for anybody below 15. There are other countries like New Zealand and others who are also doing this. Where does the EU stand on this right now?
In the European Union, we have already our AI Act, and now it's coming into the force step by step, and it's very like a risk-based approach we are taking. So most of the cases we see that the risk is low or there is no risk applying AI. But then when AI is making important decisions which are having a very big impact to people's everyday life, those systems, they have to meet certain standards. They have to be tested before they are coming to the markets, because we see that it's also very important for the innovations that the people can trust to those technologies. So I think that kind of risk-based approach is very important. And with the technology like AI, which is developing very, very fast, it's important to also take care of the safety and security of the systems.
We're speaking about safety and security, and we can't leave behind disinformation. We've EU versus disinformation, tracking it very closely for years together. But here in India and in the wider world, disinformation is causing concern. Disinformation can lead to violence. It can lead to riots. It could lead to something negative. How does one tackle this in this age of new tech and emerging technologies? Can we do this in a more framed manner with countries and multilateral systems coming together?
I think that it's important that the digital online platforms, that they are also committing to that they are taking the responsibilities, that they are not spreading disinformation or fake news. And this is also a rule in the European Union that online platforms, they have to all the time assess and mitigate the systematic risks they are posing. And for example, they have to have practices in place that they are not, for example, spreading disinformation. And when it comes to AI, we also share the concern of India when it comes to deep fakes. And also in the European Union, the legislation is coming into the force now in August, that always when AI is used to create the content, it has to be labeled, that the people can also realize and recognize when AI is created to make content online, like deep fakes, for example, which can be very misleading.
I heard some of the social media companies and their heads were summoned, including Elon Musk. Has there been an amicable solution to this? Are the social media platforms in line with the EU principles and guidelines, or there's still some difference of opinion?
Yes, our Digital Services Act, it came into the force 2 years ago, and now we are enforcing it. So we are investigating several online platforms, and we have been also posing fines if they are not complying with our rules. So yes, of course, everybody who is doing business in the European Union has to respect our rules and regulations, because we want to make sure that online environment, it's a safe and fair and democratic for all our citizens.
All right. On India and EU, something more dramatic happened just a few weeks back. And I'm sure you're aware about the EU leadership coming to New Delhi. And we had a lot of color, a lot of vibrant energy. But in 2 decades, after 2 decades of negotiation, we have the political declaration of the FTA. There's a ratification that is required. But how big is this when we speak about tech sovereignty, digital alliances and new frameworks being worked out, new collaborations in the field of AI, new technology and emerging technologies.
Exactly. We are very happy in the European Union that we were able to conclude these negotiations with India, because India and European Union together, we are two biggest democracies in the world. And that kind of free trade agreement, of course, it's giving great opportunities for our citizens and for our businesses when it comes to production, but also different public services. And the digitalization and technologies, it's one of the fields where we have had already cooperation with India, and now we will have even more deepened cooperation. So AI is one of the fields where we are working closely together. Also semiconductors, high performance computing, for example. Also digital public infrastructures where India is very advanced. So we are building interoperability between our systems really to support and help our businesses and citizens. And just in this week also we opened our first ever legal hub for mobility. So it means that those Indians who are willing to come to study or do research or seek job from the European markets, they have now really one-stop hub here in Delhi to really get support. And especially we are focusing to ICT experts, because we are lacking skilled workforce in Europe, and we know that India is having great talent pool in ICT.
You had the legal gateway announcement just recently with the Indian External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. How significant and important is that? Because you said about the ICTs.
Yes, this is very important milestone for us, because skills and talent, it's one of the fields where we are cooperating now with India, and especially focusing to ICT field, because we see that this is very fast developing field, and we have to really build up the capacity of our citizens. And this is benefiting both of us, that we can really create that kind of legal pathways also for skilled workers to Europe, and also for the European companies to make it easier also to recruit workforce from India.
You know, I can't help but ask, you mentioned about semiconductors and India's UPI, which is the digital payments network, which has been praised across the globe. Yesterday we had the French President Macron saying that in Mumbai 10 years ago, a car owner had a difficulty in having a bank account, and today he has UPI on his phone and can accept payments all across India free of charge. What does this say about the India story, according to you, the manufacturing capability and the service industry?
Yes, it's really, I think that India is very strong when it's really applying that kind of new technologies, and it has been very, I think, impressive, the work what India has done. So there's a lot of what we can also learn in European side. So in the European Union also our citizens, they are supposed to have their digital wallet in this year. So interoperable system in whole Europe, because we have had different systems in different countries. And now we are also building interoperability between European system and with the Indian systems, that our citizens and businesses, they can also do the interactions seamlessly.
Minister, one of the concerns for Europe has been the Russia-Ukraine war. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of lives lost in Ukraine. There's devastation. India has condemned the kind of action from Russia. But when it comes to AI, when it comes to use of technology, robotics, drones, that's been a huge concern. You know, drones coming in. Does it bother you that Russia could be using some new technology that is still secretive, and that is a concern, and that should be a concern not just for EU but for the global community?
Because we see now that the technologies, they are playing a very important role in our defense and security, and Europe is standing together with Ukraine, so we are supporting Ukraine to defend themselves. But in the same time also we are building up our own capacity really when it comes to military and defense, and we see that technologies are playing key role, like AI and space technologies, cybersecurity technologies, of course, drones nowadays. So it's something that also Europe is investing heavily, and we are standing with Ukraine here.
And finally, Minister, you've seen in the last few days this particular summit, and we are at the fag end of it. What memories are you taking away from India? Of course, you've been here before, but this time around, what's been special apart from the delegation level talks and the focus towards AI?
I think the main take is now really about human-centric and trustworthy AI, and how to make sure that we can really benefit on that, because there has been this race on AI, who is having the biggest, computing capacity, who is having the most powerful models. But I think when we are looking at who is really successful in AI, it's those countries and stakeholders who are able to capture really the benefits of that, and really to build up the productivity and the life, a better life for their citizens. So I think those will be really the winners of AI.
Well, Vice President Henna Virkkunen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining NDTV.
Thank you.